Hello, welcome to part one of Embracing Your Sensitivity, Navigating Life as an Empath. We're going to be talking about know thyself and what that means. But first, I had a question about the intro video where I outlined the difference between an empath and a highly sensitive person. And the question was, can you be both? And the answer is yes. I just wanted to share that. And if you skipped the intro and you're curious about what an empath and a highly sensitive person are, you can go back to that video. Know thyself. What does that mean? Well, I can speak for myself in the beginning of my journey of self-discovery, embracing my sensitivity. I had to figure out everything. I just really had to get present to everything that had an effect on me. And what that meant for me was getting very present to how I navigated my life and just bringing conscious awareness to it. This takes a lot of energy and a lot of time, but I promise you it is going to be worth it. And you can't know yourself and you can't navigate everything as an active participant in your life if you're not present to these things. So I'm going to outline how some ways that I have done it and some things that I have learned along the way. And this is by all means not an exhaustive list. So you're welcome to add to it. That'll be amazing. And you can do that in the comments below. And I do want to also say, I'm going to be sharing a lot of things. And it doesn't mean that it's your truth either. So if something doesn't resonate with you, drop it. You don't have to take it with you. Just take what sticks and you are in control of your life. It's great. So to know yourself, what I'm talking about is heightening your awareness of your mood and how it changes throughout the day. Basically tracking your feelings and reactions and emotions. So one thing to notice is, what did you eat around that time of a mood change? I have actually tasted sadness in a sandwich. I didn't even know that was possible, but it happened to me. Granted, it was a chicken sandwich from Wendy's, and I really don't recommend that. But yes, it happened. Not my greatest moment. And then also I was eating that sandwich while I was driving home from work in the car. So if that tells you anything about the context of it, which you've never done that, have you? No, I'm just kidding. It happens to the best of us. But what that means also is like there was very little mindfulness around that encounter. So there is something to blessing food and that being able to transmute energy. Gratitude and appreciation are one of the highest vibrations and can really change the way that food can feel. When I've navigated my life, sometimes I feel that I really just don't have capacity for additional processing. And by processing, I mean, there are emotions stored in meat. In my experience, I have felt it. And so if I don't really have capacity to process that, I might not eat meat that day. Or maybe eat a specific type of meat that is easier for me. Or just I invite you to play with that. Notice what you're eating and how you're feeling. It doesn't have to just be meat. Obviously, it could be anything too. What are you watching? Were you watching a show on TV? Were you watching someone's video on social media? Were you watching YouTube? How did that impact how you're feeling? Notice how you're feeling after different types of shows that you watch. Personally, I pretty much eliminated violence, the killing shows, the scary horror stuff. I don't really watch the type of stuff anymore. I used to, And I was just noticing how it really was a lot for me to take on. So I really decided that it would be more healthy for me to be in my own energy more often if I didn't do that. I started with a Netflix free 2020 after like a binge at the end of 2019. I just cut out Netflix for 2020 and I haven't had it since then. I'll also watch something every now and then, but it was just not something that I could healthfully navigate. So I decided to cut it out. And also notice with television, the timing of it. I would say something that I noticed with my television habits was at night, my brain would basically shut off between 8:30, 9, 10, maybe depending on what my sleep habits were at the time. I would just keep watching these like frightening shows. And I didn't have the capacity for it at that time. I didn't have the protection that I needed. I didn't have enough energy to be able to be doing stuff like that. So it ended up affecting my dreams and ended up affecting my mood. That's an invitation for you as well to just notice, and maybe not the time and space for that when you don't have conscious capacity. 3, what were you talking about something? Who were you talking to? There have been times when I've had conversations with people and they kind of dump something really heavy and I might be really tired. I might not have the space for it at the time, but it just, comes out and has a really big effect on me because I wasn't at the space where I could handle it at the time. And so that's something to notice too. And you're not a victim to communicating with people. It's like, oh, at any time somebody could come and just dump something on me and it's just going to be horrible. It's like, no. You could actually say to your friends, loved ones, people that you're connecting with, communicating with, just say, if you do have a situation, it's like, last time when you shared this with me, I really want to be there for you. I really want to be able to support you. But that timing of it, I really had a hard time because I didn't have capacity at that time. And it would be really helpful for me if you could ask me before you share, just check in to make sure I have space, capacity to hold space for you. And I also want to do the same for you. That's just a sample script of how to actually communicate around that. I didn't learn that until recently about how to communicate at such a high level of intention and need. But that can be so, so helpful as we navigate and really want to connect with people. And we do have capacity to support and help other people. The point is not to cut everybody off. The point is not to just diminish our relationships because we feel like everything is hard. The point is to be able to communicate about it and to be clear and to take care of ourselves to such a degree that we do have space to give back, to support others, and to be supported ourselves. And I was talking about transmutation with food. So blessing food and transmuting that energy into a higher vibration, either to return to source or just transmuting it into something that's harmonious. You can do that transmutation as well with emotions from other people in conversations. I'll talk more about those strategies later on in another video. But the point is to take responsibility for your life, for your interactions with others. And it's, not to be about cutting people off and relinquishing responsibility and blaming people and reacting and being in reaction mode. It's about how you take responsibility for what you need, and then you're sovereign. You're a sovereign being. You're not a victim here. And I feel like it could be interpreted as, you're weak, you need to protect yourself, you're getting attacked. That's not what I mean at all. You're very, very powerful. And your sensitivity comes with this power of transmutation. We all have this. So looking at my notes. Yeah, so don't blame other people and project that outward toward others. That's not the point here. So number 4, what happened before the mood change? Were you doing something, just noticing the situation around that? Did you walk into your grandma's house, and every time you walk into your grandma's house, certain thing, you feel a certain way? There can be energies to places you can pick up on. And again, it's not a blaming thing. You can just get present to, what do you need to be in that moment? What do you need to feel safe in that space? Sometimes you just don't have capacity to do that. So then you pick a time when you do have capacity to go into a space that feels hard for you to be in. 5, dreams. So you can track your dreams. Have you ever had a dream that was like just really vivid and heavy and just like shocking, and you wake up and you're just kind of taking a couple of steps back, and it takes a while to shake off and settle back into real waking life reality? Yeah, me too. So tracking dreams can be helpful, and also tracking. So if you're having dreams like that, you can record your dreams, and there's super amazing information available in our dreams. I'm not going to get into dream interpretation right now, but that's something I'm sure there's information out there that you can look into. There's so much capacity there. But if you're finding you're being thrown off in the dream world, I invite you to look at what is happening before you go to bed too. Are you drinking? Are you watching those killing movies like I was? Are you, whatever the case may be, having difficult conversations on your phone, reading email, whatever it is? The point here is to notice trends in how you feel, what you do, where you are, just noticing trends and connections, drawing lines between things. And number 6 is cut down on the numbing agents and distractions. So that would be things like alcohol. Alcohol is like opens up, can open us up to a lot of emotions, and just it's difficult to navigate them in that way. So that's an invitation that for you, if you're feeling like that, try reducing alcohol and see how you feel. And drugs, of course, any type of thing that changes your awareness in a space. If you're feeling you don't have a lot of capacity, you're feeling like at an edge of a next thing going on, it's just like a lot going on, cut that back so you have more capacity to process what's going on for you. Overuse of any kind, that would also be things like the TV, the scrolling, doom scrolling. Somebody told me it was called. It's hilarious when you're just never ending abyss scrolling on the internet. You know what I mean. Okay, so that's the end of that list. And the point is to know through this practice, which is going to take a lot of energy, it's going to take a lot of work. Don't like the word work, but might feel like work, and that's okay. You can do it. You'll eventually feel what your feelings feel like and what it feels like when you're feeling things that are not your feelings. And that's really cool. You're building that subtle awareness in the emotional body of things that, you get to process in this life. Because there's a difference between picking up on the emotions of others and being triggered. Because I'm talking about communicating with others and maybe picking up things from that conversation. And I don't want to get that confused with having a conversation with someone or an interaction with someone and being triggered, and then you projecting that as a blame on the other person, because it's a very different thing. So I want to dive into that a little bit right now. I'll give an example. Say you want to make a breakfast, a surprise for a beloved of yours, and you wake up early and you make this breakfast and they're sleeping, and put a lot of time and effort into it, and you give them breakfast and they are really not interested. and they reject your surprise, and you're like, oh, I'm really hurt by that. It could be something to journal about for sure. But in this situation, as all other things being equal, if you're feeling upset and hurt and triggered, it's not really, this person is a mirror to show you something within you. Typically, these things are from childhood. And that would be, when was a time when you felt rejected as a child? And maybe this is bringing up that same emotion that you didn't fully get to process at the time. And that's not what I mean when we're talking about being an empath and picking up things from other people. There's some things that you'll pick up and they will be yours. And so your mood may change, obviously, if you have that interaction with someone. It's like, oh, now I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling dejected. I'm feeling rejected. I'm feeling hurt. I'm feeling triggered. And that's okay. And you can sit with that and feel those feelings. And it's a great opportunity. I get really excited whenever that happens because it's an opportunity for me to sit with those emotions and peel it back. And notice how that feels and how that's different from a situation where you do pick something up from someone. Sometimes it's really clear. Say you're feeling amazing, you're having a great day, you're super happy. You have a conversation with someone, it feels like they just, vomited a heavy story onto you, and you're feeling off then. It's like, that's very clear. It's like, I was fine. This thing happened. I'm not fine. So maybe it was that thing, maybe it was. In that situation, feel how that feels. And then compared to that to the other feeling when you're triggered and you're feeling your own emotions. So because sometimes it's not that clear when you're feeling your own emotions versus feeling someone else's. And sometimes you can't line it up so easily to something else that you experienced. Unfortunately, I know. I wish it were all easy, right? Because sometimes we're picking up on collective. I alluded to this in the intro video, but sometimes we're picking up on collective conscious emotions. So that would be, I'll give an example with what that means. A previous election that happened. There's a lot of emotion in the collective consciousness about this election, right? Political presidential election. I really didn't have capacity for it. So I was like, oh, I'm just not going to pay attention to this. It won't bother me, right? I wasn't reading any stuff on the news. I really wasn't following it. But that same day, I had these feelings of panic, like my heart was racing. I was at work and my heart started racing. I got a headache. I was feeling really jittery and really uncomfortable. And I had a headache. I was just so off. And I had to go. I had to leave early, had to go home. Luckily, I was able to. And looking back, I believe I was having a panic attack. And it was completely because of the election. Even though I didn't pay attention to it, even though I wasn't picking up on things directly by oh, you read a news article and you feel an emotion, that's clear. But I was picking up on it still, just being a sensitive human being navigating the world. And there was so much anxiety about it that I was picking up on that, whether I liked it or not. And I didn't really have a lot of tools at the time to connect and transmute that. And I also didn't really know what it was, to be honest. I thought I just had a headache and I don't know. So it's possible that we can pick up on things not just from day to day that we're in our physical space, but on a larger scale. So that is to say, as you're navigating through knowing thyself and tracking your feelings and your changes and moods, it doesn't all have to make sense. You can make space for the gray, the confusion, and you don't have to try to make a story out of it if it doesn't really work. You're just tracking, you're just noticing. And that's a big step in and of itself. let's see. Return to sender exercise. I want to give you one tool, at least, to use as you're navigating through part 1 of knowing yourself and embracing your sensitivity, just getting familiar with who you are and how you change, is a return to sender exercise. So say you're navigating your day and you were super happy, everything was great, you were so excited about the day, and then all of a sudden it's just like whoosh, you feel this let's say depression just wash over you. That's happened to me before, and it's just like, wow, this feels like this came out of nowhere. I don't know why this happened. I was literally just walking from my bedroom to the kitchen, and now all of a sudden I'm depressed. What the heck? As what a tool I can offer you, which was taught to me by a beautiful friend of mine who shares my name, MeganBoissiere. Return to sender. And she got this from Access Consciousness. So if you feel super drawn to this, you can look into, just Google Access Consciousness. Maybe you could take a course there if you really feel like it. So in that situation, you can say, there's this little script that I'm going to share with you. Who does this belong to? Return to sender with consciousness attached. Who does this belong to? Return to sender with consciousness attached. Or if you're a grammar nerd like me, you could say, to whom does this belong? Return to sender with consciousness attached. To whom does this belong? Return to sender with consciousness attached. So like we were talking about with, the point here is not to deflect things onto other people. So we want to make sure that that's not what we're doing. We're really getting present with ourselves and noticing our interactions with others. So the beauty about this exercise is that we're basically calling that forth, whatever it is. If we can name it, then we could do that. If we can't name it, we're just calling it all, calling it all, the energy of it, the emotion of it, whatever it is. Whose is this? Is this mine? Is this theirs? Is this someone else's? Whose is this? Whose own is this? As my grandma would say. My mom. Return to sender with consciousness attached. So if it's not yours, it goes back to where it came from, with awareness and consciousness attached to it. And if it is yours, you get to process that. So it comes right back to you with awareness and consciousness. So you get to process that. And I do want to say this as well, because sometimes when I first heard that, it felt weird to me to give things back to people. It's like, oh, well, I must have it for a reason. Or I had this idea that it was my job or responsibility to do things like to help other people out, which is a little bit of a martyr complex. So I want to explain that a little bit more. My understanding and my belief is that we all come to this planet and come into a human body with a purpose to experience certain things, to learn certain things, with a plan to contribute something. We all have a purpose and a plan, and we decide that before we come in to this body. So by taking something of someone else's, and really actually doesn't help them, whether you feel like they can handle it or not, it's never in your best interest to take something from someone else that doesn't belong to you and to hold it. This is different than like being a person serving in a healing capacity and having a contract with an exchange with someone. That's on a different area. But to take something from someone else and just hold it and allow that to build up within you, it doesn't help them, it doesn't help you. So it is in your best interest and in their best interest and for the highest good of all involved to clear that when you feel it. And if you don't get to the point where you do, because my experience was when I didn't feel comfortable doing that and I didn't know that it was available to me, I just had so much build up and build up. And then it gets really hard to tell what's mine, what's not mine, what I'm being affected by, all these cords, all these things. So, and that's when things got really difficult to navigate. So the point with getting this clarity of what we're feeling and how we're navigating our lives is to be able to be so clear in what we're feeling that it's not just like some jumbled mess, you know, so some blah, 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 it all just goes together and you don't know what's what. Is a lot of people are there and it causes a lot of mental turmoil. So I'm going to save you from that. So now we have that tool, and I'm going to invite you to care for yourself in a few other ways as you navigate this process. What makes you feel centered and empowered? Is there a lucky charm or a crystal that you have that you feel really empowered when you hold it with you? I have a necklace with a dragon on it. It was my mother's, and she gave it to me. And when I put it on, I feel like this dragon protector come up behind me, and I feel really strong and empowered. And so when I was working at Nationwide, I would wear that necklace sometimes when I felt like I really didn't have capacity. I really didn't want to be around people. I really didn't want to do that whole thing, but I had to go to work, you know, like you do. So I would wear that necklace and I would feel like, okay, I can take the day on. The truth is that we don't need any tools and we don't need anything, but they can help in the meantime while we're learning. And so never feel weak if you feel like you want to lean on someone. It's okay. Take a walk in nature. Have you ever heard that one before? Yeah, everybody says it because it works. So great. Take a bath. Put some oils in the bath. Make yourself some hot tea, a nice hot beverage. Really bring you back into your body. Calm you down. Connect with some beautiful herbs, beautiful calming herbs. Connect with the elements. The bath would be a great way to connect with the water. Breathing, to connect with air. Breathing exercises. I'm sure those are videos all over YouTube. To connect with fire, watch a fire. You feel warmth within you. You can go like that. Connect with the warmth within you. And then to connect with earth, sit at the base of a tree. Put your feet in the dirt. I know it's getting cold here in the world where I am anyway, so some of those options are waning, but there's always a way to get exactly what you need in that moment. And at the time when we're spending all of this intention to get really intimate with ourselves, I invite you to meditate if you don't already have a practice of meditation. Be really great as you're getting clear on yourself, what's yours, what's not yours, and feeling empowered to navigate that. I invite you to share any experience or questions that you have in the comments below. I will be releasing part 2 in 2 weeks or so. So keep an eye out for that. And I would love to start some conversations in the comments and to be notified when the next video comes live. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. My goal is to have 100 subscribers. I hope we get there. And thank you so much for listening. Have a beautiful day.